Welcome to Flippin Bats, my friends, where today we got a lot to catch you up on that happened around the game of baseball. One, Shohei Ohtani is back on the mound facing live hitters. We'll talk about how that went. I do want to talk about the Boston Red Sox as well. The Red Sox are mediocre, and it's continually been a mediocre run so far this year. I had them winning the AL East. I'll talk about if I still see that happening and a lot that's happening with the Red Sox currently. I'm going to do top five pitchers in the game of baseball, in my opinion, as well today. It's Monday, which means power rankings. It's also Memorial Day, but also Monday means power rankings. So I'll go 10 through 1 in power rankings today. We'll do a FanDuel best bet as well for tomorrow, since most of you listen later today or early Tuesday. We'll do a best bet for tomorrow on FanDuel Sportsbook. Also, I want to share a cool story towards the end of the episode about Nic Enright. Nic Enright is a Virginia kid. I'm from Virginia. He went to Richmond Baseball Academy, which is where I went as well growing up. I know Nick, and he just made his major league debut for the Cleveland Guardians. But the story and the journey of him to get to where he is needs to be shared, in my opinion. So I want to talk about that later. But we have a fun show today. The reason we're doing a FanDuel segment later is because Flippin' Bats is presented by FanDuel. Bet baseball with us all season long on America's #1 sportsbook. A lot happened over the weekend. A lot happened with the Boston Red Sox over the weekend, and that's where we're going to start this show, is talking about those Red Sox. The big news coming out of Boston is that Alex Bregman is injured. Alex Bregman has been absolutely killing it this year. Now he has a right quad strain that, in his words, is significant. Going to miss a lot of time, very similar to his 2021 injury that he sustained. That was a couple of months. Now, this is coming from directly from him, that it's a pretty significant injury. The guy is hitting 300 this year. A lot of power. The best start, I would say. Look, it's the end of May. Alex Bregman's notoriously a slow starter, and then really gets going. He's been unbelievable to start, and now he gets injured. He's been hitting 300, a bunch of homers, as much as you could ask for with the Boston Red Sox, and now he goes down. So what they did do as a result is call up their top prospect, Marcelo Meyer. He's a stud. I'm excited to watch this kid. But that's really, right now, the one glimmer of excitement coming out of Boston. Look, I had this team winning the AL East this year. It was my bold prediction. Red Sox win the AL East. Well, here we are. It's the end of May. The Red Sox are sitting a game under 500. You lose Alex Bregman, and you just start to think, okay, wait a second. You acquired Alex Bregman. By the way, I predicted the Red Sox winning the AL East. It was one of my bold predictions, but the Red Sox to win the AL East before they signed Alex Bregman. Then they sign him, and it becomes a very trendy pick. Well, here we are today. Alex Bregman, the best start to his Red Sox tenure that you could ever ask for. Rafael Devers is now a top 5 hitter in baseball after his, statistically, after his 0 for 20-something start where he couldn't get a hit and everybody was saying, oh my God, the drama. He's moving from third base. He doesn't want to. Now he can't hit all of a sudden. No, Rafael Devers was always going to hit. Now, statistically, he's back to being a top 5 hitter in the game of baseball. He's been the best hitter in baseball since that slow start, other than Aaron Judge. Rafael Devers has been fantastic. Garrett Crochet on the mound, a sub-2 ERA. So all of a sudden, you look at what makes this Red Sox team really exciting to start the year. You acquire Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman has been incredible. You have Rafi Devers. Devers has been one of the best hitters in baseball. You acquire your ace of a staff in Garrett Crochet, and he's had a sub-2 ERA. He's been the ultimate ace of a staff. And all of a sudden, this team is below 500 still, and now you lose Alex Bregman. This team had a homestand. They're coming off of a homestand now where they went 500 on the homestand. They went 500 against the last place Baltimore Orioles. This Boston Red Sox team is now screaming at you that they're just a 500 ball club. You had everything that you could possibly want in terms of Alex Bregman, Rafi Devers, Garrett Crochet. If you were to tell me to start the year that at the end of May, Alex Bregman would be hitting 300 with an OPS around 900, that Rafi Devers would be a top five hitter in the game of baseball, and that Garrett Crochet would have a sub 2 ERA, I would say, yeah, this is exactly what I thought. The Boston Red Sox are leading the AL East, and they're a really good baseball team. But no, it's been the opposite of that. They're a wildly mediocre baseball team. They're in third place behind the Tampa Bay Rays. They're barely ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Baltimore Orioles are in last place in the AL East, where if the Colorado Rockies didn't exist, the Baltimore Orioles might be the worst team in the game of baseball, which is shocking, and we've talked about that enough for now. I'm sure that'll come up again. But I am ready to say, even though it's late May, I was wrong about the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox are not going to win the AL East. This Bregman injury crushes them. It really hurts. And even with him doing well, they were a 500 ball club. So yeah, just frustrating to watch the Red Sox right now. They're losing ball clubs they're losing ball games in many different ways. The back end of the bullpen has not the back end. Chapman's been good, but the bullpen has not been good. They need more rotation depth. Every reason coming into the year that you could have the counter argument to them signing Bregman and to them getting Crochet and to them having Devers and saying this team can win the AL East. The counter argument is what is winning right now. And what I do believe is going to be the case is, whoa. Wait a second. This team has been 500 for a couple years. They're now not all of a sudden going to win the AL East. They don't have the pitching depth that they need. They don't have the bullpen that they need. Their first base situation is a mess. Now Devers doesn't want to play first base. Now does he go back to third base with Bregman hurt? That answer is no. They call up Marcelo Meyer. It's what it is in Boston right now is mediocre. It's mid. It's 500, and that's what I think they'll continue to be for the remainder of the year as a 500 ball club. So I was wrong about the Red Sox. I had them winning the AL East this year, and although it's still May, I think I am ready to say that's not going to be the case. The Red Sox aren't going to win the AL East. Tough for them. Just brutal news, though, for Alex Bregman. I feel terrible for him. I'm friends with Alex. I love Alex Bregman a lot. He's a really good dude, really good baseball player as well. And the game is better when he's out there. And to see another significant injury for him, right quad strain. Last time he missed about 2 months. So what I would say right now, as we sit late May, is we're not going to see Alex Bregman before the All-Star break. It's going to at least be after the All-Star break. Who knows from there? So just tough news out of Boston right now. The opposite of tough news, though, is regarding Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani, the greatest talent that we've ever seen, is back to doing what makes him the greatest talent that we've ever seen. He's back on the mound, faced live hitters for the first time in 641 days. Shohei Ohtani is back on the mound facing live hitters on Sunday at Citi Field. Last time he threw off of a mound, a big league mound, against hitters, he was not a World Series champion. He was not a three-time MVP. He was not a husband. He was not a father. He was not a dog dad. He was not a Dodger. So much has changed in Shohei Ohtani's life, but here we are, and he's now back out on the mound. Sunday, he took the biggest step yet towards returning to a big league mound. Dave Roberts was quoted afterwards. He threw a sim game through 27 pitches, was touching 97 miles an hour, was sitting 95 miles an hour. Shohei himself said he did not want to throw that hard, but adrenaline kicks in. And here you are. This is end of Shohei quote. Adrenaline kicks in. Your velo, you can't control it. Maybe you don't want to throw 97 miles an hour, but next thing you know, adrenaline's kicking in. First time you're off a mound in 641 days. Next thing you know, you look up and you're throwing 97. Dave Roberts, manager of the Dodgers, said afterwards, I've gotten used to seeing Shohei as just a hitter. To see him on the mound just solely as a pitcher, it was different and very exciting. Shohei said, I haven't thrown in a while, so it was nice to be able to feel like a pitcher again. He threw all of his pitches. He threw everything: his fastball, his sinker, his sweeper, his cutter, his splitter. You could see video of the pitches that he was throwing, and his sinker was disgusting. Everything looked incredible. The metrics on his pitches um, were as good as they always have been. So, one, he's back out on the mound. Great. But look, here's one thing I did want to talk about is there's a lot of talk about wanting to see Shohei as a high leverage pitcher in the back end of a bullpen. And I have a lot of thoughts about that. We saw it in the World Baseball Classic. It was so fun. It was electric. But to me, one, Shohei Ohtani wants to start. That's really all you need to know is he wants to start. But two, I think the game is better with him as a starting pitcher. I think it's easy to forget now that we see him. One, had a couple injuries. He's coming back from his second major elbow surgery, couple injuries. But look, I think now that we've seen him create the 50-50 club and be an MVP, the first ever MVP as a DH, I think it's easy to forget how good he was as a starting pitcher. In 2022, he was top 5 in the AL Cy Young voting. In the 3 seasons before he got hurt, he produced a 2.84 ERA in over 428 innings pitched. This is one of the most dominant starting pitchers in the game of baseball. So Shohei feels great. He looked like he was having so much fun back on the mound in his sim game. Struck out a couple guys. Haesung Kim had a little comebacker right at him. He did field it and pretended to throw to first. Punched out some guys. And then again, another quote from him after. He said, I just kind of remembered, because when he was smiling out there, people were like, were you having a lot of fun? He said, I just kind of remembered those days when I used to have a lot of good memories as a pitcher. Well, now he's back. One thing I would say is it's not imminent. His return to facing major league batters in MLB games, it's not imminent. I think we're still looking at post All-Star break is, I think, realistic, which was the talk once he kind of shut down pitching a little bit earlier in the year. It kind of always became, all right, we're not going to see Shohei until after the All-Star break. But I do think that's going to be the case. He took his biggest step yet to returning to a Major League Baseball mound. First time back on a mound facing hitters in 641 days. This is the greatest talent that we've ever seen. And the reason I continually say that isn't what he's done the last 2 years offensively. That's a massive part of it. But I say that. I say this is the greatest player I've ever seen. I say this is the greatest talent of all time, not because he's just creating the 50-50 club. Everyone points to offense all the time. I'm not doing a Shohei Ohtani versus Aaron Judge offensive comparison. That's not the point. The point is that this guy is in the same realm as the top 2-3 hitters in all of the game of baseball. He does things historically offensively, but in the last 3 years he pitched, he accrued a 2.84 ERA in 428 innings. This is one of the best starting pitchers in the game of baseball. That is why he's the greatest player I've ever seen. That is why he's the greatest talent of all time, because of this. So we are getting closer to the greatest talent of all time being back on the mound doing what makes him the greatest talent of all time. Because he's a 50-50 off. Shohei Ohtani is the greatest talent that we've ever seen because he is a 50-50 offensive player, and he's a top 5 Cy Young player as well on the mound. It's as simple as that. And you know what he did? He threw that sim game, and then he's the leadoff hitter in the game, and he homered on the second pitch of the game. He now has 18 home runs. He's tied for the MLB league lead with Aaron Judge, by the way. At this point last year, he had 13 home runs. So it's the end of May. He has 18 homers right now. He had 13 at the end of May last year at this point. He ended up hitting 54 homers. So he's on pace to hit more homers than he did last year. He's got 54 runs scored this year compared to 37 last year at this time. 11 stolen bases this year compared to 11 stolen bases last year. Again, Shohei Ohtani created the 50-50 club last year. He's the only member. He hit 50-plus homers and stole 50-plus stolen bases. And currently, as we sit, and as he's trying to come back as a pitcher, he's on pace to do better than he did last year in terms of home runs and in terms of stolen bases. And oh, by the way, he's still hitting 300 this year. Greatest talent of all time, hands down. Shohei Ohtani, All-Star break-ish, post-All-Star break, I would imagine we see him back on the mound as a starting pitcher. Let's talk starting pitchers. Let's talk top 5 pitchers in baseball. And there's a reason that I want to do this conversation today, and we'll get to that in a second. But we're going to do a top 5. I'm going to go 5 through 1, top 5 pitchers in the game of baseball. This isn't like currently top 5 in ERA, who this year is the best. It's a little combination, obviously. Like this year matters for a lot of pitchers in terms of like where they rank. So obviously this year is taken into account heavily, but there are pitchers this year having slightly better years than some players on this list. This is my list of top 5 pitchers in the game of baseball right now. And at number 5, we're going to go with Paul Skeens. Now, Paul Skeens has a 2.36 ERA this year. He's just nasty. His strikeout numbers this year are slightly down from what we've seen from his debut until this year, and I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you. He's added a sinker to his repertoire that is the reason for a little bit of his strikeout numbers are down. More balls in play, pitching deeper into games, that's his goal. By the way, his sinker's like 97 miles an hour, but he's getting a little more contact, allowing him to pitch deeper into games, so we're seeing those strikeout numbers not quite as high. But Paul Skeens, 2.36 ERA so far this year. Look, Paul Skeens has made 34 big league starts. He's given up 47 total earned runs in 34 MLB starts. That is wild. By the way, didn't talk about it earlier, but Paul Skeens will officially pitch for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic next March, which is huge, huge, huge news for Team USA. Let's move on to number 4. At number 4 on this list, I have Zach Wheeler, currently a 2.42 ERA. He has been the staple of consistency for the Philadelphia Phillies the last couple of years. This dude is nasty. In the playoffs, he's nasty. The regular season, he's nasty. Zach Wheeler, I have at number 4. At number 3, I would not have had him here to start if you were to ask me this at the beginning of the year, top 5 pitchers in baseball, I don't think, just due to injuries and the amount of time he's been out on the mound, I don't know if I would have said this, but at number 3 now, I have Max Fried, who, when healthy, is 100% a top 5 pitcher in the game of baseball. He has a 1.29 ERA this year. Max Fried, when healthy and when on the mound, since in the last couple of years, has the best ERA in the game of baseball. The question with Max Fried is never, is he an ace of a staff kind of guy? Is he a top 5 pitcher in the game of baseball? Is he going to stay healthy? Can he stay healthy all season long? Now here we are, first year with the New York Yankees, a 1.29 ERA. Thank God they went to get Max Fried. Look, everything as we sit right now has shaped out really well for the New York Yankees with the moves they ended up making and not getting Juan Soto. If you get Juan Soto back and you pay him all the money in the world, you're probably not getting Max Fried. And this team is not as good as they are without Max Fried. With Garrett Cole going down and missing the year, they would not have survived without an ace of a staff kind of guy. They needed that. Max Fried, Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, they've needed those guys. Not to mention Juan Soto he's had the worst, through this part of the year, the worst start to his career has been the worst start to a season of his career so far is his first year with the Mets. I'll talk about Juan Soto soon if this continues. I don't have a worry in the world that he won't end up having some great numbers for the New York Mets. But regardless, as of right now, the way this offseason worked out was great for the New York Yankees, and they ended up with Max Fried at the top of the rotation, 1.29 ERA. He's at number 3 for me. Next up, at number 2, the number 2 pitcher in the game of baseball, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who currently has a 1.86 ERA. If you didn't listen, I have John Smoltz on every single week. If you didn't listen or watch on YouTube, last week, John Smoltz came on at the end of the week, and we talked about Yamamoto and said, hey, look, he was great last year in year 1 from MPB. How is he even better in his second year in Major League Baseball? What makes him better? John Smoltz did say right now he's hands down the front runner to win the NL Cy Young Award. He's just been dominant. He's unbelievable. And Smoltz and I had a great conversation. Go back and listen. It's the last episode before this one. We had a really good conversation about Yamamoto, the Atlanta Braves, and if they're a playoff team. Strider, his top power rankings. It was fun, but a really good conversation about Yamamoto, who I have at number 2 in the power rankings, the pitcher power rankings. At number 1, the best pitcher in the game of baseball is Tarik Skubal. Tarik Skubal on Sunday put the Detroit Tigers on his back and said, let's go. I got us. First complete game of his career, 9 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, 13 strikeouts. The last pitch of the game was the fastest pitch of his career, 102.6 miles an hour to finish off the complete game shutout. First pitcher in Detroit Tigers history to throw a complete game with 0 walks, no more than 2 hits, and 13 or more strikeouts. The last MLB pitcher to even do that was Jacob deGrom in 2021. Get this. This month, the month of May, Tarik Skubal has a 52-2 strikeout to walk ratio. 52 strikeouts compared to 2 walks in the month of May. That is ridiculous. Again, 102.6 miles an hour to end the complete game. It's the fastest strikeout pitch by a starting pitcher, not just in the 9th inning, at any point. It's the fastest strikeout pitch by a starting pitcher since 2008. Now, one comparison, this is a fun comparison that I found the statistics on here. Since the start of last season for Tarik Skubal compared to Justin Verlander's 2011 MVP year. So definitely a lot more time, more starts for Tarik Skubal. Obviously, it's a year and a couple of months compared to Justin's MVP year in 2011. But since the start of last season for Tarik Skubal, 260 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's 23-6 on the mound, a 2.42 ERA, and an 11.04 strikeout per 9. Now, Justin's stats in 2011, 251 innings. So they're actually close innings-wise, which is crazy. Nobody is the innings eater anymore that Justin was. 251 innings pitched, 24-5 record, 2.40 ERA, so 0.02 better than Tarik Skubal, and a 9 K per 9 as opposed to an 11.04 K per 9. It's just a fun comparison. Look, Justin is, 1, my brother. 2, we're not going to have a comparison of Justin Verlander versus Tarik Skubal yet when it comes to pitchers in Tigers history. It's not close. But what Tarik Skubal is currently doing, if he continues to do this, 1, the Detroit Tigers need to extend him yesterday. Let's make it happen. But if he can sign long-term there and continue to be the pitcher that he is and has been for the last year and a half, then maybe a couple of years down the road, we can start having the conversation of where is Tarik Skubal in terms of the best pitchers in Tigers history? Because that list isn't short, my friends. There is some incredible pitchers in Detroit Tigers history. But it's just a fun comparison since the start of last season and Justin's 2011 MVP year. The ERA is very close, and K per 9, Skubal has him there as well. So on Sunday, Tarik Skubal became the second starting pitcher since 2008 when StatCast era began. So since the beginning of the StatCast era, second starting pitcher to throw a pitch 101.7 miles an hour or harder in the 7th inning or later. Tarik Skubal did that Sunday. The only other pitcher to do that is Justin Verlander, who did it 9 times. 9 times. Absolutely insane. I will say, watching Tarik Skubal right now, watching that complete game, the only pitcher that I could think of that what I was watching reminded me of is my brother, Justin Verlander. Watching him get deeper and deeper into games, watching the velo creep up as it got deeper into games, watching him empty the tank in that 9th inning with the fastest pitch of the game and his fastest pitch of his career. Tarik Skubal on Sunday reminded me of my brother, which is it was really cool to watch. So top 5 pitcher power rankings: Paul Skeens at 5, Zach Wheeler at 4, Max Fried at 3, Yoshinobu Yamamoto at 2, and the best pitcher at number 1 is Tarek Skubal. Those are pitcher power rankings. Let's do regular power rankings as we do every single Monday. Going to talk through them here fairly quickly. They're out on social media. Conversations are aplenty. They always are, because there's a team I left out this week. The fans of that team are like, "Oh my God, how?" Always. I'll have those conversations on YouTube as well. If you don't watch on YouTube, hop in the comments, like and subscribe there. It really does help and mean a lot. But leave a comment on what you think. I always love hopping in the comments and talking back to you guys. So let's do power rankings. And we're going to start at number 10, the same as last week with the Houston Astros. A couple games into this week, I thought for sure, okay, it was risky to put the Tigers in at number 10 last week over the Mariners, but I did feel like they had a good enough week, though their record wasn't as good, and thought, okay, I'm gonna put the Astros here. I think the Astros are the better team, and until the Mariners or anybody else in the AL West proves that they're the better team, if it's ever close, I'm going to put the Astros over that team. Now, obviously, both can be out, but the Astros were starting to play better baseball. Then a couple games into this week against the Tampa Bay Rays, they lost that series, didn't look good, and I thought, all right, maybe they're going to be right back out after 1 week. Then you face the Seattle Mariners in 4 games, big division rivalry, a lot to talk about there in that series. And the Houston Astros win 3 of 4 in that series. So I kept them the same. Tough first series, great last series. Astros stay put at number 10. At number 9, also staying put. The Minnesota Twins are going to stay at number 9. At number 8, the San Diego Padres. I have the Padres down 1. There's not a ton of movement here at the bottom 5 of the power rankings this week, but the one movement was between 8 and 7. I put the Padres down 1. Good series against the Atlanta Braves, right? They win that series on the road. Braves are playing better. They get Ronald Acuna back. It's all the talk. All right, Braves are getting healthy. Strider and Acuna are back, and this is when the Braves were supposed to take off. Well, then the San Diego Padres come to town and they win that series. Really good series for the Padres. Maybe it's the start of them turning things back around, but it has been bad for the Padres. Before that, absolutely dominated by the Toronto Blue Jays, swept by the Blue Jays, brutal series. So I did move the Padres down 1, and I moved the Giants up 1 to number 7. Giants win their weekend series against the Washington Nationals. Not a great week, nothing to really write home about. They did lose the series before that. So I just flip-flopped the Giants and the Padres. Giants here at number 7 after a good weekend series. At number 6, staying the same, the New York Mets. Why are the Mets staying the same? Well, they did beat the Dodgers in a weekend series. Huge for them, right? That's great. The Mets would have moved down big time had they not won that series, because it was bad before that. Their last 10 games, they're 4-6. They lost to the Yankees in the weekend before that in bad fashion. They lose to the Boston Red Sox, who, as we talked about, are not a good baseball team. You lose to the Red Sox in a series, and then you have the Dodgers, and you end up winning that series. So winning that series allowed the Mets to stay right where they are, because it has not been pretty for them. Mets at number 6. At number 5, staying the same as well, the New York Yankees. Yankees playing good baseball. I'm keeping them here. Not much worse. They're not going down. They're not going up right now, but they are playing really good baseball. So we could see them soon creeping up further into that top 5. But I don't believe they're better than these teams. At number 4, I'm going with the Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs are down 1, not because of anything they did. Chicago Cubs are still playing good baseball, down 1 spot. At number 3, down 1 spot, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodgers down 1, lose that series on the road to the Mets. Good series before that, but you lose the series to the Mets. I bumped them down 1. At number 2, also down 1 spot, the Detroit Tigers. Good early week series against the St. Louis Cardinals, who we'll talk about in a second. I hear you, all of you Cardinals fans. Tigers beat the Cardinals, hot team. They were hot before. They've been hot after. Tigers win that series. Good series there, but a bad look. You come home for a big 4-game set against a division rival in the Cleveland Guardians. 4-game series, a lot of hype around the team, good crowds at Comerica. You lose the first 3 games of that series. It's a bad look. You did get put on the back of Tarek Skubal on Sunday with that dominant pitching performance, complete game shutout to salvage some sort of like, okay, take a deep breath from that series. But good first series of the week against a Cardinals team playing well. Not a good showing against the Cleveland Guardians. So I did bump them down out of the number 1 spot in the power rankings, down 1 spot. But at number 1 in this week's power rankings, up 3 spots, is the new leader of the NL East, the Philadelphia Phillies. 9-1 in their last 10. The Phillies offense is absolutely rolling right now. The Phillies are the top team in the game of baseball as we currently sit. Look, I've been high on this Phillies team. I'm high on this offense. I'm high on the rotation. I'm high on the back end of their bullpen. The Phillies 1 through 9 offense is tough to match up with. And now they're sitting here at 34-19. They're tied for the most wins in the game of baseball with the Detroit Tigers. The Philadelphia Phillies have the most wins in the National League. More than the Dodgers are 32-21. The Giants are 31-22. The Cubs are 32-21. The Mets are 32-21. The Philadelphia Phillies are 34-19. And they are currently sitting atop of my MLB Power Rankings after this past week. So that's where we are as of now, as of Monday, as of recording this episode. The Phillies on Memorial Day are the number 1 spot in the power rankings. Couple things before we finish up. One is the story of Nic Enright. Now, I want to talk about Nic Enright for a couple reasons. One, the story, the journey is worth talking about, and I think everybody should know it, whether you're a fan of the Cleveland Guardians or not, whether you're a fan of baseball or not. People should know this story and know this journey. Another reason I want to talk about it is because I know Nic Enright. He's a Virginia kid. I'm from Virginia. He's a Richmond Baseball Academy kid. I went to Richmond Baseball Academy since I was 8 years old. That's where I grew up learning to play baseball. That's where I played travel ball. That's where I got my college scholarship out of, Richmond Baseball Academy. I coached Nic Enright. I did camps that he was a part of. He's a Richmond Baseball Academy kid. He went to Virginia Tech, and his journey since Virginia Tech has been emotional, a roller coaster. Nic Enright was drafted by Cleveland. He was a Rule 5 pick by the Miami Marlins, so picked up in the Rule 5 draft. He was going to start the year in 2023 as a big leaguer, I think. I think in 2023, he was going to make his MLB debut. I think he was going to start the year as a big leaguer. He was going to make his MLB debut. Then, on Christmas Day of 2022, before the 2023 season, on Christmas Day, he wakes up with a lump in his neck, goes to the doctor, and found out that he has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma on Christmas Day. Rounds and rounds and rounds of chemotherapy. So many rounds. Still gets treatment for chemotherapy. He gets DFA'd by the Miami Marlins and then picked up by the Cleveland Guardians. And over the weekend, Nic Enright gets called up to the big leagues and makes his MLB debut against the Detroit Tigers. Throws 2 scoreless innings in his MLB debut against the Tigers. Just an incredible story. It's emotional. There's a lot that goes into it, but people making their MLB debut already makes me a little bit emotional for a lot of reasons. Like I know what they're feeling, right? Like I that was my goal at the time. I thought my dream was to be a Major League Baseball player, and it was while I was playing, but it turns out my calling in life is to talk about Major League Baseball. But it already makes me emotional seeing guys get the call up for just excitement and happiness for them. But for another reason, it makes me emotional because to get so close, but to not get that call just adds another layer of emotion to the situation for me. So add another layer when it comes to Nic Enright. Gets his dream, the Major League Baseball call up. And then on top of everything he's gone through, man, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, chemo after chemo after chemo, after designated for assignment by the Miami Marlins, after getting picked up by the Cleveland Guardians organization, the team that drafted you, and then dominating in the minor leagues and getting the call to the big leagues. Man, what a journey for Nic Enright. What a story, and just one that I felt like everybody should know and everybody should hear about. So what I wanted to say is congratulations to Nic Enright on your MLB debut, a scoreless debut. Really, really special. Congrats to Nic Enright, and I just wanted everyone to hear that story. To finish up here on the show today, as you all know, Flippin Bats is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Tuesday, tomorrow, whenever you're listening. Maybe it's today. Maybe it's yesterday, in which case, sorry about it. Tuesday is Dinger Tuesday on FanDuel Sportsbook. On Dinger Tuesdays, what that means is you get a 50% profit boost on a player to hit a home run. Now, you pick your guy, you get a 50% profit boost. Say he's plus 500 to hit a homer. Well, 50%, and then he's plus 750 to hit a homer all of a sudden. 10 to win 50 becomes 10 to win 75. That's how 50% profit boosts work. It's a big profit boost. So we're going to, for our Dinger Tuesday pick, looked into the stats, looked into some numbers, and we're going to run with Shohei Ohtani, who we haven't yet here. Really, we've been really good on Dinger Tuesdays. We're going to run with Shohei Ohtani, who's 2 for 6 with a homer off of Tanner Bybee, the projected starter for the Cleveland Guardians on Tuesday. So Shohei Ohtani, Dinger Tuesday pick, 50% profit boost there on the website. Go check that out. Must be 21 and over and present in select states, or 18 and older and present in D.C. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. But really fun show today. Really fun episode. Over the weekend, a lot happened. A lot with Shohei Ohtani. The Red Sox are mildly mediocre once again. Tough situation there. We haven't talked much about the Colorado Rockies. I don't know if I will. I don't know if I want to. But all I will say right now is the Colorado Rockies are 9-44. If you haven't heard, if you don't know math very well, which I used a calculator to do this, so maybe I don't. The Colorado Rockies are on pace to go 27-135. I'm not going to dive in because I will get furious, and I don't want to end this episode on a furious note. But they are on pace to go 27-135. Ridiculous. Relegate them. Get them out of here. Make them do something. It's crazy. I said I wasn't going to do this. The episode's over. That's it. Rockies 9-44. Red Sox are a 500 ball club. I think they end around there. The Phillies are the best team in baseball right now. Shohei Ohtani's on pace to do better than he did in his 50-50 season. And he's on pace to be back on the mound as a starting pitcher after the All-Star break. Fun episode. Fun show, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed. Please make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify. It does really help when you click that subscribe or follow button. It's free. It helps. Leave a 5-star review if you want. Also, if you want to watch, we're on YouTube. Flippin Bats Pod is our YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, comment on the video. I love hopping in the YouTube comments and talking back to you guys. So check us out on our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media at Flippin Bats Pod, any and everywhere, for some fun videos, some updates on episodes, all that good stuff. But fun show. We'll have John Smoltz coming on in just a couple of days for our next episode. But until then, my friends, remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace. Flippin Bats is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 and older and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.